Hi, my name is Jamie Schmotzer, and I'm an herbalist and instructor for the Old World Alliance, co-founded by Jamie Burleigh. The coronavirus pandemic highlights one of my goals as an instructor for the Old World Alliance, which is to help people build up their own home apothecary and learn more about family herbalism. This pandemic also reinforces the wisdom of the Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Well, after rubbing alcohol and hand sanitizer is back in stock, I'll be sure to put some more aside just in case we need it again, but situations like this do have the benefit, if we choose to look at it that way, of revealing our strengths and weaknesses, of how well we are prepared and how we need to be better prepared in the future. Now, I am very grateful that I got into family herbalism and building up a home apothecary years ago, because already I have been in a position to help other people during this crisis, because I have an abundance of herbs and herbal preparations on hand, but also because I have been in a position to offer some advice and information about how to make various herbal preparations that hopefully will be of help. It's funny. Let's see here. Oh, I made this lobelia tincture, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago, not even knowing if I would ever use it. If things would ever get to the point where I would need something, a strong expectorant and an herbal formula that is very helpful to the lungs. See, I made this on 8/30 of 2017, an adaptogen blend tincture. And again on 8/30/17, an antiviral powder blend. And one more here, an immune builder blend. These have been sitting with the herbs still in there, right? Those are all powdered up since August of 2017, just waiting for a time when I would need to use them. So far, I haven't needed to use them. But that medicine, those herbal preparations are still good. And I'm glad that now, with this virus that has an affinity for the lungs, that I have herbs like lobelia and other antivirals on hand when I need it. Tinctures, for example, generally take at least 8 weeks to make. Now, those have been going since 2017, but here's an example of a tincture that I started. This is echinacea. I started this back in November, before I'd even heard of the coronavirus. I've got lots and lots of echinacea tincture, but I decided to make some more, just because this is one of those herbs that I always like to have on hand. It boosts the immune system. And so I don't fool around with it. I like to have lots of it on hand. I've probably got 4 or 5 of these 16-ounce Boston rounds of echinacea. This is a blend with other things too, but echinacea is a primary ingredient. Recently, this is osha root tincture. This I've had going for probably a year and a half, but I bought another ounce, and just last week I started more, because it's going to take 8 weeks. If I need this is osha root is a bronchodilator. If I'm having trouble breathing, I'm going to take osha root. And but that's the thing. It's going to take 8 weeks. I might have the COVID-19 virus, next week. Who knows? I might already have it. But this highlights the relevancy of being prepared, because I might not have 8 weeks to make a tincture before I need it. So, thankfully, I've got, tinctures from 2017 and even earlier that are ready to go for me. Even before the Old World Alliance website itself went live on December 1st, excuse me, just a seasonal cough. The Old World Alliance website went live on December 1st, but even before that, the Old World Alliance Facebook page, I had put up a recipe for fire cider, which looks like that. I was in the fire cider book that was published last fall. It's called Fire Cider, written by Rosemary Gladstar and friends. I'm on page 49. This is what fire cider looks like when it's done. This is what it looks like when it's about a week old. And I didn't think I was going to need to make any more for this season. I figured, spring was coming, and we've gotten through all of the colds and flus, and so this bottle should be enough to have on hand until next fall when I make more. But no, we've got this coronavirus, so I made 3 more half-gallon jars. That's usually I make 3 at a time, and your fire cider takes 4 to 6 weeks. Now, I've got enough on hand to last me that long, but who knows? I might need more before then. Back in December, I put up a video on the Old World Alliance website on how to make fire cider, and also a video on how to make elderberry tincture using the Folk method. Elderberries, as many of you know, inhibit the replication of viruses. Good luck trying to find some elderberries right now. And in January, I think it was, I made a whole video for the Old World Alliance website talking about echinacea, how to make it, which varieties to use, and which parts of those plants to use to make a good immune boosting echinacea tincture. And I made those videos because, and I made them back in November, December, January, February even. I made those videos because these are the sorts of herbal allies that I myself, as you see, I make these things. I make them every year because I know that the cold and flu season's coming. So I start my fire cider before fall starts, so that by the time it becomes fall, it's already made. It's gone through its 6 weeks that I gotta shake every day for 6 weeks. Well, I made those videos back in November, December, January because I wanted to let people know this is fire cider. This is how you make it. This is how you make an echinacea tincture. This is how you make elderberry syrup, elderberry tea, elderberry, tincture. And now that we're dealing with this novel virus and this unprecedented time of mandatory shutdowns and the like, the relevancy of being prepared is clearly demonstrable. Not only with hand sanitizer and toilet paper, but also with the herbal knowledge, skills, and resources to help our families. And this is my ultimate goal, for my part anyway, as an instructor with the Old World Alliance, to help people, especially beginners, to learn about family herbalism and the home apothecary. Modern medicine is absolutely wonderful in many ways. If I cut my leg off with a chainsaw, I'm going to go to the emergency room, right? And they can do amazing things. There's no question. Modern medicine can do some amazing things. But let's put things in perspective for a moment. Modern medicine really is in its infancy. It's what, 100 some years old? On the other hand, humans have been relying on the old ways since the dawn of time. Even as we await clinical trials and whatnot for pharmaceuticals to help us with this pandemic, there are herbs with track records dating back before recorded history. The Hebrew scriptures record the use of herbal remedies, as do the traditions coming from China and India. The original people living in the Americas have long traditions of using plant medicine. Everywhere around the world has its own history of what often is now called folk medicine or folk remedies. But many of these have more history, have more positive history of use than any of these clinical trials. I'm not saying clinical trials aren't important, for sure they are. And I'm certainly not claiming to be an expert. But I have been using herbs for a long time relative to my own lifespan. And I hope to pass along some of these old ways that have been around well before I was a thought. And I have this opportunity that has been afforded to me by Jamie Burleigh through the Old World Alliance, whose very mission is to keep these old ways alive. And times like this show how relevant it is to learn from our past and keep these old ways alive. Now, in the near future, I'm going to be making some videos on some basic herbal preparations to share here on YouTube for those who do not wish to sign up at the Old World Alliance website, which is jointheowa.com. Because I don't want money to get in the way of people learning how to help their families by becoming family herbalists and establishing a home apothecary. And I'm certainly not the only resource out there to learn from. There are lots of good websites, there are lots of videos on YouTube, and so forth that are at our disposal to learn from. Now, recently, the Herbal Academy even began offering a free intro to herbalism class. If you look in my description or go to jwapothecary.com, you will find a link to the free Intro to Herbalism class through the Herbal Academy. They also have, if you look on their website, a few of their courses they are now offering at half off, which they've never done before. And I'll leave a link to the Herbal Academy in the description below as well. So while there are many amazing things that modern medicine can do, and I certainly applaud doctors and nurses and the aides and janitors at the hospital, the whole system, there are amazing things that we can do, and I certainly applaud what they are doing now and always. But there are a lot of herbal allies. There are a lot of things that modern medicine has maybe forgotten about. There are many herbs that the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know about. Remember, modern medicine is in its infancy relative to the history of mankind. And it would be unwise to forget the wisdom of the ages and the many herbal remedies that have stood the test of time, with or without FDA-approved clinical trials. And so in conclusion, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a clinical herbalist, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I am hoping that people will look into family herbalism and consider establishing a home apothecary for themselves based on their own particular needs. And so, as always, remember that what you put on or in your body is your responsibility.